Hey everyone, my name is Lily and I'm the book blogger behind Utopia State of Mind, and today I'm going to tell you my Netgalley tips and the oldest Netgalley arcs I have on my shelf that I haven't read yet. So I'm going to expose myself, but it's for the sake of the internet. I've been using Netgalley for at least 4 years, and I've also been able to be interviewed by Netgalley, which was a really fun experience because I've used it not only for the book blogging side, but also I was able to use it and see what the kind of professionals see, like the publishing professionals see when they look at Netgalley. I have these two insights about what you can do not only to make it so that your profile is better received, but also what people might be looking for in your profile. So kind of the cycle of Netgalley questioning. What I do want to throw out before I kind of talk about the main book focus of the video is the fact that there are a lot of inequalities for e-arcs within the book blogging community. So for example, international bookworms versus like US UK bookworms. So that's a huge kind of privilege and a huge difference. I'm only speaking about like the US UK side. I have the most experience with kind of the US side of Netgalley, but I just wanted to point it out before we even begin. There are just a lot of inequalities in that sense, and as well the availability or accessibility of e-arcs for international bookworms in general. I'm just going to take a quick look at my profile. So for some reason my profile photo has been like wiped, and Netgalley had a breach I want to say like December of 2020. So ever since then I haven't really had a profile picture. My profile picture was just my blog logo, so eventually I'll bring it back. But I've been a member since 2016, which, yeah, I mean, it makes sense because this year will be my 5th year of book blogging. And I've been approved for 554 books, and I've sent feedback for 478 books. And so right now my feedback ratio is 88%. Last year I wanted to make sure, like, wanted to get it to 90%, and I might have been able to. But at the end of December, I had gotten an influx of Macmillan e-arcs because that's kind of how they're doing their influencer arcs at the moment. And so that really kind of dropped my ratio a little bit down. And also I just like wasn't able to read them as quickly. And I didn't want to read them before. I wanted to make sure that I downloaded them before they archived, because that happened, for example, to me to State Tectonics. And I have left it in my give feedback because I'm going to take it out from the library essentially. But you know, that's just it. And so also on my profile, I have all of my links, and I also have a bio where I say that I post 3 times a week with at least 3 posts a week. I'm interested in science fiction, fantasy, and YA, and then my stats. So as of January 1st, 2021, blah. So I have a combined following of 10,463 followers I have, and then I break down through all of my platforms. And then on my blog I had 81,000 visits and around 18,000 visitors in the last months. For all books I review, I also cross-post a review on Goodreads and Amazon. You can contact me via my email, and then I give my blog email, which you can find on my blog, so I don't need to necessarily give it out right now. But that's basically what my profile is. And then I've said my primary blog link is my blog, and then I have my Instagram and my Twitter link. So the first tip that I have for your Netgalley profile is that your links need to work and they need to be in the right place. So basically when you're setting up your Netgalley profile, you have a profile section where you have the ability to put in some links. So for like Twitter, Instagram, a URL for a blog, this is where your links should go. They shouldn't go like in the main body of your profile, just because that means that you would have to click on like that profile and then that link specifically, and you need to make sure that they're updated. I can't tell you the amount of times when I was on the other side of the Netgalley, like back behind the scenes kind of look, how many times I would click on a link and it would get me nowhere. If someone wants to make sure that you're active and that you have like content at all period, and they go to a link and it's not working, then that's kind of like a, well, this is A, a waste of my time, and also B, you're just not gonna get approved really, because like that's kind of one of the things you have to have is this kind of active presence, because otherwise who's to say that you're going to be reviewing the book? I think it's definitely worth keeping in mind throughout the whole Netgalley exchange that the purpose of Netgalley is to have publishers have the ability to give reviewers an early access to books with the intention that as a book blogger, you would review them, at least on the Netgalley site, but also on your blog, because that's kind of why they want to look at your stats and if you're active and stuff, so that it's kind of like an access thing. So it's definitely not a way to kind of just read books and never talk about them or never review them or never promote them in any way. It's definitely a tool for that specific purpose. That's definitely something you have to consider when you go into Netgalley, which is you're only going to get more successful at Netgalley, you know, on a broader level. As I said, there were all those like inequality issues before, but on a broader level, if that's kind of the way that you're using the platform. My second tip is that I find it really helpful to put stats in the bio section. So basically in the bio section, I'll say what genres I read. And for me, I put all of my stats. So I say like, as of this day, I have this many followers on Instagram and Twitter and my blog, and this is how many combined followers I have. And I also, for my blog, will write down how many visits and how many unique visitors I have as well for that monthly time period. Not only does this show publishers that you are actively like updating this because there's a date on it, it will give them an easy snapshot way of looking at how many your potential reach for that title, and that is extremely helpful. My third tip, or my third thing I want to talk about, is talking about the ratio. It's not so much of a tip as it is just a ratio kind of discussion. So the first thing I want to talk about is when you first start, you have a suggested ratio of 80%. If you are I want to review like this really highly hyped thing, the chances are, and I don't want to make like an overarching statement of this will happen, this will not happen, but the chances are that it just won't happen for you, because publishers sometimes have different criteria about what they're looking for, about the numbers they're looking for, you know, your approval rating, your review rating, because the publishers are able to see all of those different things. So they're able to see not only how many books you've been approved for, but also how many books a review, not rating, but like a review percentage. So for example, of all the books that you've been approved for, how many books are you rating? And that's why the suggested ratio that you start off with is 80%. So you can only kind of make it higher or lower based on that. You can make it higher, at least at the very beginning, by, for example, you could check out Read Now titles on Netgalley. So you could actually click on it, read now, have the book, or, you know, whatever format you're using on Netgalley, you know, it could be an audiobook or it could be a graphic novel, for example. But you could read them now and then give feedback, and that's a way to kind of boost your rating before you might want to request like your most highly anticipated book, just because that will increase your approval rating and that will increase your review rating, and that will make it so that it will look more favorably. So basically, if you review them and you read them, that will increase your approval percentage and your review percentage, and they'll be able to see that on Netgalley. Another thing I want to talk about with the ratio is how to maintain the ratio. So no shade, but you gotta read the books. Like I don't want to be all, you know, telling you something that is super self-explanatory, or I don't want to seem like super salty or whatever. That's not my intention. What my intention is right now is just to be like, once you've been approved for a book, the only real way that you can like maintain your rating if you keep requesting books is to keep reading the books. So if you're kind of falling behind and you want to review the next book, or sorry, you want to request the next book, try reading and reviewing one of the books that you have on the shelf, because it will just help your ratings and your percentages increase, which will just give you a better chance overall. I mean, you could argue also that, like, as I'm saying with the stats, if you were able to kind of prove the stats that way, then maybe that would also give you a higher chance of being approved. But I think numerically, when you look, if you want to like filter, for example, you can filter on the back end by review percentage or approval percentage. That is not going to take advantage, like that's not going to take into account your statistics. It's only going to take into account those absolute numbers. So from that perspective, from like a very quick, easy 1, 2, 3 kind of way, that's the best way to do it. It's very hard, as I will tell you in the next section about all of the Netgalley arcs that I've gotten that I haven't read yet. And thankfully there aren't a lot, because I've been trying to read them as I like keep going in my months. But I'm not, like, I'm the first one to say that things will get away from you, books will get away from you, and that's just what's going to happen. And so sometimes it may be necessary to be like, okay, I can't request anymore. I just have to get through my backlist catalog, or like my backlog of e-arcs. And that's just what I'm going to do. And so I've been trying to balance it where I will request some, but also review a bunch, and then I won't request any until I've reviewed those. So it's all about personal discipline and also personal preference about how you approach that. But just know in general, I don't have any magical tips about how you can maintain it, except you just gotta read them. I also only have a theory about this, so I'm gonna preface that. This is only a theory, but you have the option of giving feedback without actually doing a review. So for example, I've had to do that when I've forgotten to download the book and it's been archived, and like then I have no way of reading it. Or I had to do that with an audiobook where I tried to use that Netgalley Shelf app and it just did not work. And so my theory is that it counts as things that aren't like outstanding in your on your shelf. But I would not think, and this is only my theory, if anyone knows this for sure, please let me know below, but it's only my theory that that doesn't actually increase your review percentage. Because if you think about it, the books that you're kind of giving feedback from that way, saying that you're not going to read this book because of this, or you can't read it because of this, that's not like a review. And sometimes it does give them very valuable information, like, you know, the formatting is just too weird and you can't, like, you literally can't read it. So it does give important information, but my theory is that it won't actually increase your review percentage, just because that, like, from a common sense perspective is kind of how I view it. So I would not use that option a lot, because that is my theory and I haven't tested that. That's just my theory. I haven't tested it. And I will also say that once you request a book, you cannot cancel that request. It is I wouldn't say it's my number one gripe with Netgalley, but it is pretty high up on my gripes with Netgalley, because sometimes I'll request a book and then I'll, you know, get it on Edelweiss or I'll get it somewhere else. And so I feel really bad when I've been approved on Netgalley, for example, and Edelweiss for a book that, and it's like I don't need 2 copies of it, but I had no way of canceling it. So also Edelweiss is another way that you can request books. If you want me to do like an Edelweiss video as well like this, please let me know down below, because I do really enjoy Edelweiss as well. There are pros and cons to each platform. Netgalley is definitely the first one that I actually ever made like a profile for, so that's kind of why I'm talking about Netgalley. So now, the super spicy bit, I'm going to go in real time into my Netgalley profile and see what my oldest arcs are. So let me just open a Netgalley tab on my phone. I am kind of scared because even though I've gotten a lot better about this, there are some I know that are, you know, just really, really old. So I'm gonna go to see all. Okay, and go to the very end. So I'm just gonna tell you the titles, and well, you know, we'll go into the year, you know, to be super spicy. So the first oldest arc I have here, which is not the oldest arc I've ever read, of course, this is just the oldest one I haven't given feedback for, is Twice Dead. This is from 2018. So from 2 years, oh my god, wait, it's 2021. So from 3 years ago. So that's approximately the oldest one I have on my shelf. So it's Twice Dead, The Strange Fascinations of Noah Hypnotic, Unbury Carol, Hidden Sun, What They Don't Know, The Lies We Told, The Waking Forest, New Suns, Love Struck, Up for Air, Light from Other Stars, Here There Are Monsters, How We Disappeared, State Tectonics, Voyages in the Underworld of Orpheus Black, Across a Broken Shore, Night Spinner, and The Sisters Grimm. So how many are those? I'm going to count for you live right now. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 of those. 18! Wow! I knew that it was Okay, it's just more than I wanted. That's just all I'll say. I've done a lot of work last year on making this lower, but 18. And then of a total, how many do I actually have? Like, I have to give feedback right now for 52 books. So 18 out of 52 are backlog books, and whatever the rest are, because I am abysmally bad at math, are books that haven't released yet that I'm like trying to get through essentially. But what I can say is that there are reasons that I haven't gotten to some of them, you know. A lot of them is just they didn't make it to that like month's TBR, but my goal for 2021 is definitely to get through some of that backlist and also the few backlist physical arcs that I still have. I think I have like 3 or 4, so not a lot, but I think those are more than 2 years old, some of them. So that's even more shameful. But anyway, those are my backlist books on NetGalley. If you want, at the end of the year or like at the end of the month, I can kind of tell you which ones I've read. Don't have your hopes up. I won't get through all 18 now. I'm just gonna tell you and editing me that we will not get through all 18 of those this year. I also will tell you that we're probably going to add to that. Like, I don't think that we'll get higher than 18, hopefully, like fingers crossed. What I will say though is that, you know, I might read a couple and then some also might, you know, find themselves on that list. I don't know, maybe could happen. So I hope that these tips were really helpful for you, and I hope that we can all kind of work on lowering our backlog of NetGalley books. I will see you in the next one. I'll leave all of the links and stuff below and my social media links below. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye!